action, action. Lights, camera, action. Let's go. Lights, camera, action, action. Pop up a little, pop up a little.
I'm Mark Ramsey. I am really proud today to talk to Jake Siegel. Jake is the CEO and founder of Livio. Livio is a company that is help enabling the mobilization of radio via the internet. That's one way to put it, Jake. Do you want to fill in the blanks? And what's your elevator pitch for what Livio does?
Well, we're really focused on getting music into people's eardrums, wherever that may be. And a few years ago, it was based on dedicated home devices. Now it's really about getting into the car and getting from your mobile device, your iPhone, your iPad, your BlackBerry, your Android phone device, and getting music from the internet, whether it be live AM or FM broadcasts or on-demand music streaming, from the internet in through the phone and then into some speaker systems. So we're really focused on the end-to-end experience that someone like my mom's gonna have with the product.
Okay, and when it comes to radio, I mean, from the broadcaster's perspective, what is attractive, what is interesting to me about what Livio does and Livio's products?
Well, I think that from a broadcaster perspective, we're about giving consumers choice. So, you may not live in the same area that you grew up in. So if you want to connect your local home radio station, our products allow you to do that. And a lot of people think of internet radio as a killer to AM or FM terrestrial, and I look at it as complementary. I mean, there's some of the best radio stations that I listen to are live local broadcasts from around the world, like whether it be my local NPR station in my college town in Athens, Ohio, or a local Detroit station when I'm traveling to catch up on the Tigers recap, which they are in the playoffs still. So I think that from my perspective, it's all about having access to on-demand music plus having access to terrestrial broadcast over the internet, and it expands the use. I think that the technology helps consumers make a choice, and it does make terrestrial radio stations require themselves to become more relevant, because as consumers have more choices, there's more things they can do than listen to your station. But that's fine. I mean, I think that you have to create value, and radio stations have been generating value for years, and I have no doubt they'll continue to generate value.
Well, when you talk about relevance, let's probe that a little bit. I mean, normally the thinking is, look, if I play the, good enough music for most of the people most of the time and build the greatest cume and extend their quarter hours a little bit in terms of listening, then I win. And in an environment that's pre-internet, that's exactly what happened. You did win. What do you mean by relevance and value in an internet age where your company can empower tens of thousands of options for listeners, which used to be limited to maybe 20 or 30 or 40?
Well, I still think the same issues there. I mean, radio for me personally has been about live and local. I mean, you're going to have a local DJ that is going to give you your traffic and weather, perhaps, and then offer you a set of tunes that you want to listen to. And hey, let's face it, you don't always want to be in control. I mean, if people just wanted to have 100% control of their music all the time, there'd be no reason for radio. You would just have iTunes. But you have great services like Pandora, which I think is in the middle, where it can let it go for you, but then also let you take control. And then you've got radio, where sometimes you just want to get in the car, you want to turn the car on, or you're sitting at your office. You just want to have radio going. And on the music side of it, I mean, I think that there is a challenge there where if you don't like the song that's playing, you don't have to listen to that song. You can very easily, on a on-demand service, go to the next song or switch to another station. But I do think that you will have that attachment to the AM and FM station, that brand that you're used to, and being able to access that brand, digital sound quality is definitely a benefit. But there is that point on the music side where you have to be a little bit of something for everybody, and internet is all about that one-to-one communication. And I do think that terrestrial broadcast will lose some listening hours due to that, but it allows them to strengthen the brand and really focus on live and local content with good music. I mean, you don't have to always like every song that's playing at a wedding. When a wedding DJ is playing, doesn't mean you run out the door and go to the next wedding next door, right? So, I mean, I don't really see that it being like a mission critical thing. Now, at the same time, if you're pumping in, a commercial every other song, then yeah, consumers going to leave. But they've already done that with iPod, and that's why I think that this internet directed media allows, in the next 5 years, targeted advertising, and advertising you can even skip. And not to say you can skip all ads, but you'd be able to skip advertising that a broadcaster supports to let you enjoy, even the advertising or deals that you're going to be served up while you're driving a car or listening at your desk. But my mission is to bring those apps safely into the car, so your steering wheel controls and the controls on your dashboard will control the app, whatever app that you want to, on your phone. That's okay. Really where we're focused.
That's what I was going to ask you, which is, what do you mean by getting the connecting the app to the car safely? How much of what you're describing requires coordination through the automakers themselves and where are you on that process?
Well, all of it requires that, and you know, to be clear, like most people that I'm sure are watching this, you're familiar with Bluetooth. You know, you get a Bluetooth headset. It does your voice dialing, and some of you may be familiar with a term called music audio streaming, which is called A2DP. It allows it's basically a wireless version of the aux cable. It's an audio cable, but it's wireless, and that's through Bluetooth. It's called A2DP. There's another stack called AVRCP, which is a technical means of doing play, pause, and stop, the very basic commands that are there. Those are standard. Those very basic standard commands like hands-free calling, music streaming, and you know, play, pause, stop, fast forward, rewind. Those are available in cars, and there's nothing unique you need to do. So I don't have to work with automakers for those standards. What's not standard is when you start talking about, you know, being able to track when a car turns on, being able to know that a car is moving, so the phone has to act, the mobile phone has to behave a certain way for safety. What's not standard is the way that album artwork and metadata is transferred. What's not standard is knowing that when I press a button on the steering wheel, that button on the steering wheel is going to communicate back to the button in the application and what that button's going to do. So like these are the things that we have to work with automakers to make sure that our Livio Connect protocol is enabled. So it allows it to work across this this protocol that we've been developing. So it allows those apps to talk to the cars.
Now, is Livio built into the car, or is it something that has to be plugged in by the consumer?
It's something that, well, we hope will be built into the cars. And, you know, cars, we're based in Detroit, Michigan. It is a long development cycle. I mean, we're talking now like model year 13, 2014 year vehicles are being developed today. So when you talk about the factory car that's going to roll off the lot, you're going to go, the next car that people watching this are going to be purchasing, that vehicle, you know, may have, if they're buying it next year, it won't have it. But in a few years from now, it will have some sort of app connectivity. So that's something that ships today as well.
The big win for you guys then, and frankly the big win for the consumers, is for this functionality to be built into the car, and I bring my phone with me, my mobile device, sorry, with me into the car, I plug it into something, and boom, the dash becomes kind of transparently connected to the mobile device and vice versa, right?
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot that, and first, we always like to say for my mom, I mean, I always make sure that everything that we make out of Livio is something that my mom can get up and running. And you know, she's a smart woman, but you know, from a tech savvy level, you know, she doesn't have a PhD in electronics like, you know, some of us do in the industry. So I look at this saying, you know, if my mom can't get into the car and get this stuff up and running without calling me for help, then we failed. So behind the scenes takes a lot of effort. So when you talk about bringing your mobile device into a vehicle and having it show up sounds very vague. It's like what shows up and how does it show up and making sure it's safe when it shows up and things that aren't going to distract you while driving. I mean, obviously anything that is you're listening to or seeing is going to be distracting. Heck, a car stereo is distracting while driving. But finding a way to do this in a you know, no nonsense, safe way, as opposed to like sitting in the car and, you know, using your thumbs on the mobile device. That's really our focus. So we put a lot of our effort into the user experience. What's in the automotive world, they call it HMI, human machine interface. So the HMI of the device, we work with the car manufacturers, and we also work with the software side on the mobile app providers to make sure that they can communicate their commands through the Livio Connect protocol, and it'll show up correctly in the HMI on a car. So there's a lot of work on the back end, but really, you know, from at the end of the day, you get in your car, your phone's in your pocket, it's in your purse, turn the car on, everything shows up on the dashboard. That's it. You know, there's really no bells and whistles. It's super simple.
So let's project forward then, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What's the experience going to be for me who today, let's say I'm a radio fan and I want to bring some of that experience into the car with me that goes beyond what I get from my local stations or goes deeper or broader than my local stations? What's the car going to be like?
Well, I think that you're going to have options in the car just like you're going to see on the internet, except it's going to be shown in a safer way. So in 5 years from now, you're going to get in the car, you're going to turn the car on, and you're going to have your local station that you're a big fan of. It's maybe your first preset. Preset button number 2 in the car, maybe, you know, call your wife. Preset number 3, maybe start, you know, your favorite on-demand music system like Pandora. Preset 4 might be another music station. You can adjust whatever those buttons are. So at any point in time, you can press a button. Maybe the 5th button is, you know, find a gas station, or, you know, check a diagnostics report, or call OnStar if you're General Motors vehicle. So, I mean, the idea is as a user, you can say, all right, I've got my 6 or 8 buttons. I can choose what those buttons are going to do when I get, or maybe one button is, you know, a traffic report. So, hey, I'm stuck in traffic, get me out of here. So it's all going to be integrated. That's going to be your experience in the car. And when something new comes out, you're going to be able to hit a button in your car and say, you know, show me what I can do. and that button will be able to give you a listing of all the different radio stations that you can listen to, different applications you can tune into, and you can add stuff from there and learn about it. Now the hook on this is when I say press buttons, you could also replace that with voice activation. So what I can't comment too much on is like the competition between voice activation and button presses, or are these things going to be like voice search to find something, or how do you get from one station to the next, like with services like SoundHound, which is a great way to be in a restaurant or a music venue, hear something, tag it, pull it up on your favorite radio app. Those types of things, they're going to evolve. So whether or not you're pressing a button or speaking, everything is going to be interactive. I think everybody knows that, but I think in the next 5 years, the big thing is that you're going to be able to have exactly what you want when you get in the car, doing what you want to happen when you're in the car, just like your routine. I mean, everyone's got their own little routine when they get in the car. Like some people start the car, then they put their seatbelt on. Some people put their seatbelt on and start their car. It's going to be the same way with radio. And that's really what we're focused on is the consumer behavior. So the radio stations want to have added features. They want to be able to have new ways to track, new inventory options. So on car start, or maybe it's on low fuel, or there's other types of new forms of inventory that radio stations are looking for. Car companies can deliver that. We are going to be a bridge between what a car company can deliver and what a radio station is looking for, but that's really not my business. We're just transferring that data back and forth. So that business is going to evolve. That's not really my business, but my job is just to bridge that. So whatever's going to happen on the radio industry and what they're looking for, and what's going to happen on the car side, what they can provide, we're going to be the bridge between those 2 points.
Okay, well, give me a sense then, given this vision of the very near future, how does that change, in your view, what a broadcaster can and should create in terms of content or technology, or choice for that matter, as these changes become clearer in the cars?
I saw a demonstration from a major broadcaster about a year ago of a way that you could be listening to a broadcast, and this was spoken like talk radio, and they would say they would talk about some topic. And if I said what it was, I'd give away who I was working with. But then a topic came up, and then the user could press a button and then immediately, jump to that. And then it would pause the live broadcast to come back. So one thing I think that's, as an example of something that's really cool, is that if you are listening to some content, or let's say, another way to put this is like, when you're reading news or reading an article on the web and they have hyperlinks throughout the article, and if you aren't familiar with something, you can jump in the middle of an article to another article that's referenced. I think that doing the same thing on radio will happen. And with music, we're already seeing that, where you can create a new station from an existing station on Pandora. You can bookmark and then scrabble songs through Last.fm. Those types of things, I think, will be showing up more in broadcast radio. So as radio sections or shows are tagged, or let's say there's a DJ talking about a music segment, and they say, hey, this was on some top 40 list. As a user, you're listening to that, that playback, and at that point you could say, all right, I want to go check that out. So it would jump to a separate section and start playing that podcast for that recorded section. When that ends, you can take it back right where you left off to, cached pre-recorded radio. Those are the kind of things that, some of the innovators are like what you see in the news, like with DAR.fm, which was Michael Roberts, the founder of MP3 Tunes. Some systems like that are already starting to put the pieces together, but I think the more interactive you can get with a customer to create a one-to-one relationship, the happier the customer is going to be, and the more tolerant that customer is to get ads. And as ads get better, as spots become better and more relevant to users, I think that it's going to be a very, very positive experience. And radio is not going away. It's just, I think it's going to evolve to this next level. And I think that some people are really more on board with the idea of getting from one place to another with different sets of content. And I think that's really what's needed from a broadcaster side to push it is, start thinking about ways that users can access pre-recorded shows or something they may not have heard in real time but want to go back to in the form of a podcast or some other means that may solve that problem for the end user listening.
Interesting. That's a great overview and a great sense of what's coming in the very near future. Terrific. Jake Siegel is the CEO and founder of Livio Radio. Jake, thank you much.
Thanks.